And I've said many times, your game against the Bulls, that's still, I was in the league for a long time as a head coach and an assistant. I've said this many times when you weren't around. That's the most memorable game to me that I've ever been a part of because the Bulls were so good, so good. And we had just made the trades. I mean, we didn't have anybody.
Didn't have anybody.
7 guys. Tony Smith came in, didn't even have a walkthrough with us, and played the entire game at the point.
Yep.
You played Jeff Malone, who we took off of ice. Hasn't played all year, played and had like 16 points.
Vashawn Leonard came in,
Absolutely.
made a couple of buckets.
But you were just making everything. And I remember Scotty Robertson, in the second quarter of that game, when you'd made a couple in a row, he said, nope, the stars are aligned tonight. There's no way we're losing this. And the whole crowd was bowing down to you. Look, I mean, that was a long time ago.
It was.
And I'll never forget that game. It was just amazing.
Was that the game that you came home and Zeke asked you to tell that story to him?
Yeah, well, I came home after that game that night, and I'd gone. Zeke, my son, who's 28 now, I left the house and he had a Jordan uniform on. He's 3. He's 3. I get back from the game and go in and wake him up, and I pull him out of his bed, and we go downstairs and watching TV, and he goes looks at the TV, and it dawns on him. He says, "You played the Bulls." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did you win?" I said, "Yep." And he took off running back upstairs and went to bed crying. He was upset that we won. We beat Michael's team.
I also remember that year. I mean, I know we don't want to just go down memory lane, me and you. But I remember late in the year, we were playing in Charlotte. It might have been the last game of the year, but we had to win to get into the playoffs.
Oh, that's right.
And I remember coming out of the locker room, and you said to me, "Stan, this is the first important NBA game I've ever played in." I'll never forget that.
Man, I can't believe you remember that. Yeah, it was Charlotte or Milwaukee. That's my recollection. And we did have to win to get in to be 41-41. And I'd never been on a team in the NBA that had won more than like 25 games. So that was huge. That was huge. And then how bad did the Bulls beat us in 3? Like a JV team, right?
Yeah, they were pretty good at that time.
They weren't bad.
Yeah, they weren't bad. And but nonetheless, I think sometimes, years like that sort of get lost in the history of things. But if you look at what happened to the Miami Heat over the years, and it took them a long time. I mean, Pat was there a long time before he got a championship. But this thing they now almost nauseatingly refer to as Heat culture. I mean, it gets to be a little much. But it started in that year. It really did. It started in that year where there started to be some real pride around that.
Well, you're exactly right. And then I'd go back to that year. I'd get a literal DVD slipped under my hotel room door that would go, and that meant Eric Spoelstra had left me a DVD to watch on all my screw ups for the game. Now coaching the team. Amazing, right?
We used to do the same thing with scouting reports. Slide them under the door.
Yep.
And so I had to do that, and then you can relate to this, but you go to a couple of doors every time and you can't get it under the door because the towel's under the door. and then you go to guys and like, yo man, like I gotta, the towel. Oh, yeah, no, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm like, listen, like I know I'm some suburban white guy, but I ain't stupid. So I know what happened and you know what happened. Just let me, I said, I just don't want to get in trouble. I got to get the report to you. That's the whole, I don't know why the towel was under the door. Really? I could think of a reason. That was great. That went on for years. The whole time I worked for Pat, that's how we did scouting reports.
Yep.
We would always have those guys, and it just got to be a joke.